Hello, YouTube. It's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day The Single Life, Season 5, Episode 1, The Art of the Love Bomb. And before we get started, I just want to say that I missed you guys so much, actually. It feels like it's only been a week, but it feels like it's been so long since I haven't done a video and stuff, because we had a bye week this week from on Sunday for 90 Day due to the Super Bowl. And after watching the Super Bowl with my team losing, I wish we had 90 Day if I didn't have to see what I saw. Just saying. A lot of 90 Day fans are not football fans. I'm a big football fan. So, I gotta stick to what I do, what I love as well, and I do love football and stuff. But yeah, but if I could have a little redo of Sunday night, I definitely would. And if I didn't have to watch what I watched to see my team to get beat up like the way they did, I would have preferred to watch 90 Day. So, but now we have finally reached the single life. The other way is finally over, and now we're on the single life. So just to recap, our singles this year is Courtney and Colt, Vanya, Liz, Sophie, Kimberly, Gino, and Pedro. Okay, and so yeah, so we're gonna start with the girls. We're gonna start with Sophie, Liz, and Julia, and Pedro. So Sophie, Liz, and Julia decided to go on a girls' trip to the Dominican Republic. Julia is best friends with Sophie, so she's joining the trip. Her and Brandon are still together. Everybody's like, why is Julia on the single life? Julia is just there to support Sophie. Like, her and Brandon are doing fine. We still had nothing. Don't know nothing about the baby. Julia says like she's here to support Sophie. And at this point she don't know that she's pregnant. How Julia likes to say pregnant and stuff. I gotta tell you guys, this is the longest pregnancy I've ever seen from somebody. Now y'all remember a few weeks ago when we saw Brandon and Julia on 90 Day Diaries, where I was pissed and how I dragged Julia on her behavior and stuff, and she still like to put up the excuse, I believe in superstitions and not telling nobody. Like, people are going to find out. I don't know what her superstition is because, like, said this, Olga from Stephen and Olga from 90 Day Season 6, they got pregnant, and she's Russian, and they got pregnant, and she had the baby in Russia, and they filmed it. So, like, what is the big deal here? But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But let's focus more on Sophie and Liz. So it's been mostly about Sophie. So she's in the Dominican Republic on a girls' trip with Liz and them. And, she talks about what happened with her and Rob and everything, how it didn't work out with her and Rob, whatever. We're not gonna get into that. So she's been talking to this guy in the meantime and everything. And this guy just happens to be Pedro. And yes, it's that Pedro, Chantel's ex, Pedro. Because remember, Pedro and Chantel divorced a few years ago. And now she's talking, and it's ironic. On Hunt for Love, when Chantel and Rob were on Hunt for Love, they went on one date but didn't hit it off. And we kind of knew that Pedro and Sophie were talking because they mentioned that at the Hunt for Love tell-all and stuff. And I know Chantel was pissed. So it's a nice little couple swap here. But Rob and Chantel ain't together, and yeah, whatever. So they're in the Dominican Republic, and Sophie says that she's only hung out with Pedro a couple times in the U.S. He's really cool and everything, this and that. He's sent her thousands of dollars, got her $1,000, some kind of $1,000 gift and everything, and whatnot. And he ordered a van for Sophie, Julia, and Liz to get around while they're on their little girls' trip, which was really nice. So the van picks them up, and he has like all these flowers and stuff for Sophie and everything. And it's really nice because, and we will talk more about Pedro later, but Pedro says, like, when he was with Chantel, like, he wasn't all that romantic and everything, so he wanted to correct that. And Liz and Julia thought it was sweet that he got the van and got all this romantic stuff for Sophie, but Sophie didn't take it that way. She was just like, oh, I think he's just I think he's just coming on a little bit too strong. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend yet, and everything. Just coming on too strong. I don't know. And I'm like, can a man just be nice to somebody without it being like that? Whatever, without people just jumping to conclusions and stuff and everything. So, so then Pedro, and so they go to this place, and Pedro, we see Pedro before Pedro shows up. We get to see Pedro, and he tells his story about what happened with him and Chantel, whatever. And him and Sophie met like on social media and stuff and whatever. And we unfortunately saw Pedro do some manscaping that we did not need to see, whatever, and everything. So he finally goes. He's having a night out. He's actually back in the DR because it's his sister's birthday weekend. His sister Nicole, and we will see, judging by the previews, we will see his crazy sister Nicole. Remember, her and Nicole and Chantel never got along and stuff. So Pedro, after he's done, meets up with the girls and stuff and everything. He gives Sophie a hug and everything. Sophie just gives him like a small half-ass hug basically and everything. Julia jumps in his arms and everything. And Liz just shook his hand and stuff. And Pedro was just like, dang, Sophie, like this is all I get. Like Julia gave me more energy and stuff, and Julia's taken basically and stuff. So they come to this little get together, and Pedro brought some of his friends, and they start doing some dancing, and Liz is actually crushing on one of his friends, and they do some dancing, and yeah. Now we seen Liz. She told her story about what happened with her and Big Ed. We don't need to get into that either. And then she also told us what happened with her and her ex Jason. Now I'll talk about that. Remember at the Happily Ever After season 8 tell-all, Liz had brought this guy named Jason out that she was dating, and he seemed like a good guy and stuff and everything, but apparently he had another girlfriend somewhere else and everything, and he wouldn't be there for Liz during a really really emotional time for her. Well, I think we all know this now. Liz has like stage 1 ovarian cancer. We at first like like was fully recovered from it, but it looks like she recently posted the other day that the cancer came back in her ovaries, and the next step for her is a hysterectomy. So we are praying for Liz like during this time. And I guess this guy Jason wasn't there for her when she first got this news and stuff, because she said she found out during a miscarriage of her and Jason and stuff. So that's sad. That is really sad. So Liz, we are praying for you. So we see Liz get ready and stuff, and she's really crushing on one of Pedro's friends and stuff, and they're doing dancing and stuff and everything, and it's cute. Now we turn back to Sophie and Pedro. They finally have a conversation, and this is where things get juicy. So Pedro asks Sophie, like, what's like your current status? What's going on? Like, are you single? Are you divorced? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I just filed for divorce. And Pedro's like, where you at with that? And she's like, kind of just started, really. And he was like, I thought you were like more done, like getting close to being done with it and stuff. And just how we were talking, you say this guy was horrible to you. You're miserable for years and stuff and everything. Why are you still married to him? And then Sophie goes on to say, oh well, me and my ex, he called. I had blocked his number, and he had called me from an unknown number at 3 a.m. and stuff and everything. And Pedro's like, why you answer? Why are you still talking and everything? Now, we do have a Between the Sheets this year. Rob, they do have the X's on Between the Sheets. Rob said that, yes, he admitted that, but it wasn't to that extent. He said that him and Sophie were cool. So he's just, just saying hi, probably just saying, hey, what's going on? And he noticed that the number wasn't, the messages weren't going through, whatever, and realized that she had blocked him. So he had to like star 67, star 89, whatever, and message Sophie and be like, why did you block me and stuff and everything? She's like, because we're getting divorced and stuff. So So then, but Pedro was just like, are you ready to move on and stuff and everything? Have you had any hookups lately? And she's like, and Sophie was like, yeah, I hooked up with my ex just a few weeks ago. Like, really? Now, we knew that because when Rob got back from Mexico, when Rob got back from Home for Love, he revealed that, yeah, him and Sophie were hooking up and stuff and everything. And when I hear that, it just, I'm losing a lot of brain cells with them as well because they are so toxic and you know, and I've said this throughout the entire time when they were on our screens that Rob and Sophie were equally both responsible for the demise of the relationship, but it was not one more than the other. They both were equally messed up in their relationship, and they are so toxic. They're saying that they should really work it out. No, they should not, and everything. But both of them need to let the other person move on and stuff because it's just going to be constant back and forth. Oh, well, Rob did this or Sophie did that and everything. And I'm not doing it this season with them with that. I'm definitely not doing it with them this season. So now Pedro is like taking him back a little bit because he's just like, you know, I want somebody who's ready to move on and stuff. And I agree with Pedro for once. Like I wouldn't want to be in this situation either. You know, it's too complicated. And I've said this before, you know, when people are going through a divorce, I understand it takes time and everything, and you kind of want to be with them and stuff and everything, but it's just really you like if it takes years, then it's just not worth it. If it's going to take years and nobody's cooperating and nobody's eager to do it, just like call me when you're done. And if it's years, then you're just not meant to be. So yeah, that was Sophie, Liz, and Pedro and Julia. Next person I want to talk is, who did we see next? We see my man Gino. Gino. So Gino, my man Gino. Now we all know Gino's story, all right? We all know Gino's story, you know, and we know him and Jasmine are, you know, they're going to be getting, I guess, like they had some kind of hearing yesterday. I don't know how that went, but I guess they had some kind of hearing with their divorce process yesterday. So if I find out more how that went, I'll let you guys know. But we seen Gino. He's ready to get back out there. He goes to this like singles event that is broadcast on social media where he gets to meet single people, single girls. He goes there, you know, he's all happy and back to his goofy, nerdy stuff, kind of looking like how when we first met him and everything. And he's playing kickball. He plays kickball at this event and stuff and everything. And so he's mingling on with the ladies and stuff and everything. And he meets these two girls and, you know, like, hey, ladies and stuff and everything. And he talks to these two girls and he immediately they ask him, like, are you single? Are you divorced? And he has to tell them, I'm not divorced yet, but I'm separated and stuff and everything. And then he tells them that, you know, she cheated on me, got pregnant by another guy, blah, blah, blah. These two ladies were not fazed by this at all. They thought it was a complete turnoff. And yes, like, you know, it is a turnoff. You don't really want to come to a singles event and saying that you're still legally married and stuff and everything, because that is going to turn a lot of girls off. I remember back in season 1 of the single life, Colt did that at a singles event and stuff and everything. It was pretty interesting. And so he does that, and these girls just start making fun of him. You know, Gino says that it's been a while since he asked a girl on a date in person and everything. He likes to do everything online because just to avoid the embarrassment and rejection. And this was basically his biggest fear, is that these girls just like roasted him. They were making fun of him. They were saying that he's just not ready, this and that. And yeah, I mean, these girls probably never seen the show, so they're gonna think that they're right, but they could have been a little bit nicer about it. You know, we don't when you reject somebody, don't you don't have to be, don't make fun of them when you're rejecting, like, because it looked like a little schoolgirl, like, you asked me out and you're still like this. Is he serious? Yes, he was serious and stuff. He didn't even ask them out. He was just trying, he even tried to change the conversation. He's like, so what do you guys like out of a man and stuff and everything, to just try to get off of that. And they started making fun of him, like he was trying to change the subject and not be on it. but and we know that Gino has a problem with talking about Jasmine a lot and everything, and that's going to be his downfall in this relationship. But obviously that didn't work out, so he leaves and everything. Then we see Gino go to the store. He just wants to get back in, just get back into his normal lifestyle. He goes to the store and goes to get some meat and stuff. And because he said he couldn't buy much meat when he was with Jasmine because she's vegan. So he's at the store and asks his worker there about the meat, where he can get special meat. And she sends him to it. And then he starts talking to the worker like, yeah, I get to eat meat now. My soon to be ex wife didn't let me eat meat and everything, and everything. He was telling this worker like she really cared and stuff and everything. And she did not care. I don't know why he's telling random people about Jasmine and about that, and that's going to be his problem. So he gets back home, we've seen him do some workouts and stuff and try to update his dating profile. He's had a couple of hits on his dating profile, but there is one particular person that is still following him and has comment on his recent pictures, and that is Natalie. Now, you guys remember Natalie. She was his love interest in this past season of Happily Ever After and everything. And he went out to see her in Vegas. They hit it off really well. She came out to see him in Michigan and just got jumped by Jasmine, basically, and everything. And so she was just like, I won out. Well, we seen her at the tell-all and everything. And I guess her and Gina talked a little bit at the tell-all, after the tell-all and everything, but nothing like too deep. And so Gino said that he asked Natalie if she wants to meet up. I guess Natalie has moved from Vegas to Washington, D.C., where she works now. And Natalie told him, yes, that we'll meet up. So Gino starts packing up to go to Washington, D.C. He packs his weird blue underwear and stuff. He's like, I don't need the blue pills anymore because Natalie's Natalie. Yes, Natalie's very beautiful. I said multiple times how hot she is and stuff in Gino. But I feel like Gino, I do think Natalie's going to give him a second chance. But Gino, you better not screw this up. Now, judging by a preview, he is going to mention Jasmine a few times, and she does not want to hear it. Do not mention Jasmine after this next time. Do not mention Jasmine's name anymore, especially to Natalie. Natalie has nightmares of Jasmine after what happened. If you want to be with Natalie, I want Gino to be with Natalie, but do not mention the J word to her. Just saying, Gino. I'm pulling for Gino and Natalie. I was pulling for them doing Happily Ever After. I'm pulling for them here on the single life. Come on, Gino. You could do this and stuff. So he goes out to D.C., tells the cab driver how great Natalie is and how great she looks and stuff. And he waits for a coffee shop and she comes in, and we left off with a cliffhanger on that. So that was Gino. And the last person from this first episode we're going to talk is Miss Kimberly. So Kimberly, now we cover Kimberly a lot. We love seeing Kimberly on Pillow Talk with her and Jamal on Pillow Talk and everything. We know Kimberly's story with her relationship with Usman, her delusional relationship with Usman. We don't need to go back to that. So Kimberly, she's on a weight loss journey. She's lost a good bit of weight. She looks great. Congratulations, Kimberly, on your weight loss journey. And Kimberly's story was just really up and down. Her scenes were so up and down this episode. So we first seen Kimberly at a little playing laser tag with some of these old people, just because Kimberly used to be in the military, so this brought back her little military fun. And they're playing laser tag, and she's on this date with this guy named Javier and stuff and everything. After done playing laser tag, she talks to Javier, and she asks him like about his living conditions, and he says that he is living with two roommates. He's in his 50s and has two roommates, and they just happen to be women, and one of the women just happens to be his ex. Weird, but okay. People are so weird when it comes to stuff like that. I really don't get it. I don't get it at all. So so he explains that to Kimberly, and Kimberly is just like, okay, what happened with you and the ex? And like he was like, I cheated on her and she left me. And she's like, yeah, well, I would have left you too if you would have cheated on me and stuff and everything. So Kimberly was like, Javier's a good friend, but clearly this ain't gonna work out. And that's okay, but this is not gonna work out. I'm like, no, duh. And so after that date, we seen Kimberly at her job, you know, and her and her friends planned this event that they're going to take Kimberly to, and it's some kind of like singles event, and where you have to pitch your friends to date. So they take Kimberly's friends take her to this event, and you have to pose. They put up a slideshow of people and the facts about them. Like Kimberly's slideshow is a picture of her and like saying that she loves cats, she loves her son Jamal, this and that and everything and etc. It's kind of embarrassing really to see a slideshow about yourself and some facts about yourself in front of a lot of people. So I kind of felt, so Kimberly was pretty much uncomfortable with that in my opinion and stuff. And so her friends pitched her, and the crowd was basically a young crowd. Like there was a bunch of like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. She says she's not doing 18 and younger ever again after Usman and stuff. She wants somebody in their 40s and 50s and stuff. And this one guy was like, like I'm too young for you, but I'll have you talk to my dad or something. And she's like, okay. But then after the event, she gets a text. She actually has a date, and she actually has what they call a, part of my language, a booty call with some dude. And I guess his name is Benjamin, but they call him B. So I guess like she met this Benjamin guy after her and Usman broke up, and they're just all, it's just all intimacy with them. They don't have, she doesn't want to date him and stuff and everything. Well, they did date. No, she said they did date, tried to date, but he said that he wanted another girl and everything with her and stuff, and she just didn't want to do that. So she goes to meet with this guy at a hotel and everything, and they talk about what happened at the little singles event and everything. And then he gives her a massage and everything. It was kind of disturbing because she was already at like 2 dates in the last couple of days. But she said, you know what, I look this good right now. I lost all this weight. It's time for me to be in this little active, I'm going to call it active stage, putting it nicely, in my life, basically. So she has fun with that. And then this is where things get really emotional. Now, ever since we have seen Kimberly, we always seen Kimberly with her son Jamal. It's just we know like Jamal has always been open that he wasn't close with his father and everything. Now the misconception is that Jamal is Kimberly's only child because that's all we knew. Well, it turns out that Kimberly has another child. So years ago, Kimberly actually had a son named Larry, and like we seen Kimberly at home with Jamal, and they started talking about some old stuff and about like trying to move on and stuff. And randomly this popped up. Kimberly has another son named Larry. And I guess years ago, and it's with the same dad as Jamal's dad and everything. And Larry, Kimberly unfortunately put Larry up for adoption. Like it's sad. We don't need to go into the ins and outs about it. She feels really bad about it, but it gets interesting. So she puts this Larry guy up for adoption, and I guess Larry went on the Ancestry website and found Kimberly and reached out to Kimberly to see if they could meet and stuff and everything. And Jamal did not know anything about it. So, Jamal, now this happened before the filming of it. Like, this wasn't a shock, like in the moment right now, but this, when this all happened, it happened before filming. So it's not like we're seeing it for the first time. Jamal's seeing it for the first time. But Jamal was just like really like surprised because he didn't think that she was ever going to tell him. And she says she was, but she doesn't know when and stuff. So, so she, this Larry guy found Kim and Jamal, and I guess this Larry guy, he's married and has kids and stuff and everything. And so they actually did meet him and stuff, and they hit it off and everything seemed cool and stuff. And I guess Larry is going to be coming out to San Diego, and Kimberly and Jamal were talking about what are you going to talk to him about, and she said everything. And then Jamal's and then they said we also got to talk about somebody else too. And there's another person. Kimberly also had a daughter, and a daughter that same thing, she was put up for adoption. So what was my question is, if Larry and the other daughter were put up for adoption, what was so special about Jamal? I'm glad Jamal wasn't put up for adoption, but what made her decide to keep Jamal after all of that? It's just like, third time's the charm. I don't know, and everything. Now, Between the Sheets, this is why watching Between the Sheets is important. Jamal was sitting with Sophie on Between the Sheets, and he got really emotional opening up about this. There was a point in time where when Kimberly was talking to Larry, Kimberly made Larry to think that he was actually talking to Jamal and stuff, for them to develop a connection or whatever. Jamal hasn't really had much interactions with this Larry guy and everything. And so after she ran out of things to say and he wanted to talk on the phone, she had to come clean. Why would Kimberly do that? Now that's kind of embarrassing. Why would you basically catfish your own son to do that? Why are you pretending to be your son to your other son? Like, that didn't really make sense. And Jamal was really really tore up about that, and I would be too. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out, but this changes everything. Jamal's like, you don't need to be dating right now if you're going to be doing all of this. And I agree with him. So when we see this Larry guy, and hopefully we also get to meet the daughter, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. But that was sad. That was very sad on all levels. I know right now Kimberly feels bad about this. I'm not going to bash her for what she did, but it's just like, wow. Really wow. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, so that was basically it for the first episode. We didn't see Vanya or Courtney and Colt in this episode. But yeah, Single Life kicking off. I had a lot to say in this opening episode. It's gonna be a really good season now. Now this is juicy. I like this. This is juicy. And we're gonna see. I can't wait to see Nicole and Sophie get into it. I guess even Sophie and Liz are gonna get into it and stuff and everything and stuff. We'll see how Courtney and Colt's relationship goes downhill and stuff and everything. I hope Gina and Natalie make it work, and I pray for Liz and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for this season of Single Life. But anyway, guys, that is the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back on Sunday, Monday to recap 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days as we resume that. So until then, again, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please make sure you are subscribed because YouTube has been unsubscribing lately. So, and I thank you guys so much for the love and support for this channel. We're growing slowly but surely, but we're growing, guys. So we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So I just need you guys to bear with me. Keep on supporting me. Like I said, this is a safe channel compared to others. If you guys want all the more deep 90-day stuff, I mean, you have to go elsewhere for that, but it's just my duty to bring safe content to you guys and everything. I'm thinking about doing Love is Blind I'll take a look at it when the new season comes out for some new content on here. So be on the lookout for that possibly. All right. Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.